Hi my friends, welcome again to Indian Story Read Along. Today's story is going to be a mythological one. This is from Hindu mythology and it's from the Amarchitra Katha book, Tales from the Upanishads. This is called When the Devas Were Humbled. The Devas are all these demigods. So there's like the god of lightning, the god of fire, the god of wind, a lot like there are from other mythological things like Greek mythology or Norse mythology. So these are all demigods. They all have a kind of power, but they all do a lot of silly human stuff as well. And then when they get too silly, what happens is that they are always taught a lesson to bring them down back to earth. So let's start this story. You'll see what I'm talking about. When the Devas were humbled. This story was told by an ancient rishi to his disciples to illustrate how Brahman, the self-existing, all-pervading power, restores order in the world whenever evil and disorder seem to plague it. So this is not talking about the caste system Brahmanas. This is talking about Brahman, which is in every soul in the universe. This is just the existing power from where your life comes from. So there's the teacher, and he's telling everybody this story. Long ago, the Devas had a war with the Asuras. So the Asuras are the enemies of the Devas, and they're kind of portrayed like demons. So you know, as it usually happens, the good lack strength, and the strong lack goodness. After days of fierce fighting, it seemed that the Asuras were getting the upper hand, for they were strong, unprincipled, and ruthless. They fought dirty, and when the Devas began to lose heavily, a few of them prayed to Brahman to come to their aid. So they're getting down on their knees, there they are thinking about the all-pervading power to come and save them. By the way, some people think about Brahman as Shiva. Some people think about Brahman as Vishnu, some people think about as the Devi, as the mother goddess, but it is this idea of this source of energy that's all around the universe. So there they are praying. O Brahman, if you do not help us in this war, only evil and disorder shall rule this earth. Come to our aid, O Divine Father. And some people think about Brahman as God, just this idea of God. So that's how it looks like this voice is right there. You see, there's nobody saying this voice, it's just a voice. Go forth and fight with all your might. Only good can triumph in the end. Invigorated by this divine assurance, the Devas fought back bravely. And with divine help, it did not take them long to vanquish the Asuras. Overjoyed with their victory, the Devas celebrated with gay abandon. Gay meaning happy in this case. They ate, drank, and made merry for days, weeks, and months. Never-ending party. So they're having all these things served to them, and they're saying, the victory is ours. We have won it. Until they were intoxicated by their success. We're the greatest. We have no equals. So now the student of the sage who's telling the story is asking, the Devas attributed the victory to themselves, did they? And the Rishi is saying, yes, neglecting their duties, they went on and on with the celebrations. Soon the worlds that the Devas ruled began to fall into ruin, and evil and disorder prevailed everywhere. That is when Brahman intervened once again. One day, as the Devas were immersed in their merrymaking, a yaksha, a divine being, came outside their abode. So there you see him, they're standing right over there, right there. The yaksha soon caught Indra's eye. So he says to Agni over there, you see he's on fire. He says, go and find out who this being is and what brings him here, O Agni. Agni approached the yaksha and spoke first. I am Agni, the Lord of Fire. Before Agni could finish his sentence, the Yaksha asked him a question. "Oh Agni, Lord of Fire, what great powers do you possess?" And look, he's getting all full of himself. He goes, "I can burn and destroy anything that exists." And isn't that interesting that first he's talking about burning and destroying things with fire, when fire also used to help ancient people cook food and keep themselves warm and give themselves light in the darkness. So it provided all of these good things, but first he's talking about destroying things. Isn't that interesting? So then the Yaksha says to him, "Then please come forward and burn this blade of grass. Reduce it to ashes." And then he's just even more full of himself. And he's, "What? This mere blade of grass?" And the Yaksha says, "Yes, please burn this blade of grass." And Agni, with his mighty powers, ordered the fire to burn up that blade of grass. Agni raged, and the flames engulfed the blade of grass. But no matter how hard he tried, he could not succeed. After having failed to incinerate that single blade, he walked back to the palace, dejected and humbled. He wondered who this strange, powerful being was. So then I suppose that Agni told everybody, "Hey, I tried to do this and it didn't work. I don't know who that guy is out there." So Indra then sent Vayu. And the Yaksha says to him, "Who are you, noble sir?" And then Vayu says, "I am Vayu, the lord of the winds." And the Yaksha says, "And what great powers do you possess, O Vayu?" And Vayu says, "I can blow away anything from the face of this world." And isn't that interesting? Again, first he talks about his destructive powers, blowing away anything from the face of the world, when you can think of something that wind gives us is wind energy with windmills. It does a lot of clean power generation, and it has for centuries before we actually thought about wind power nowadays. So he's automatically going towards something destructive instead of something that can help people. So this is where the Devatas' minds are right now. They're not thinking about being gentle and kind and helping. They're just completely full of their own egos, forgetting how they got their powers in the first place and how to help people with it. So the Yaksha says, "Then will you please try and blow away this blade of grass?" Vayu summoned the fiercest of winds, and again, no matter how hard he tried, oof, 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 the blade of grass just would not budge. So look, he's trying to tell them all, you really think you're everything, huh? All on your own? Vayu too went back to the palace the way Agni had, fatigued, that means tired, and humbled, but not realizing who the Yaksha was. And then finally Indra himself stepped out, and then he sees that person just kind of vanish. Suddenly the Yaksha disappeared. Indra looked here and there for the Yaksha, but could not find him. Instead, his eyes fell upon Uma, the goddess of spiritual knowledge, who happened to pass by. "Uma!" he's calling out to her. Indra says, "Did you see that bright shining being who stood here until a little while ago? Where did he go? Who was he?" And then Uma spoke. "Oh Indra, it is a shame that even you, the king of the Devas, could not realize who that shining being was. Who could possess greater powers than Agni and Vayu? Think, O king of Devas." And then he says, You mean that was..." And he's going to get the right answer? "A manifestation of Brahman." And Uma says, "You are blessed, Indra, that you have now realized who it was." So at least Indra is still able to think instead of being completely wrapped up in his own ego like the others were. So Uma says, he appeared thus in front of you only to bring you back to your senses, O Devas. You have had enough of celebrations of your victory. It is now time to get back to the onerous duties of ruling. Realizing their folly, the Devas settled down to a more sensible life. And thus, Brahman had once again brought order and method into the world. The end. So even if you don't believe in all the Devas and the idea of God, it's kind of also the idea that things will settle themselves out eventually. There's always going to be a balance to the universe. So it's not just going to be partying all the time. It's also going to be being responsible and doing your job. Thank you very much for joining me today on Indian Story Read Along. We hope you will come back next time, join us for another story, and subscribe to our channel if you like this video. See you next time.